Welcome back to the S&T Football Podcast. This weekend we have the ACC Championship game going in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have the number 17 Virginia Cavaliers, 10-2 on the season, going up against, you'll never believe, but 7-5 Duke Blue Devils, unranked, of course. How did Duke get to this game? Well, the ACC has some interesting tiebreakers. And even though Miami finished 10, Georgia Tech finished 9-3, Louisville finished 8-4, SMU finished 9-3, somehow Duke.
SMU is 8-4, but yeah.
Oh, SMU 8-4. Okay, yeah, they lost that last game. Yeah.
Pittsburgh 8-4, yeah.
Pittsburgh, like, how in the world did Duke end up in the ACC title game? Someone please explain that to me. I'm still trying to figure it out. I haven't looked up the exact ACC tiebreakers. I'm actually very interested in looking into it because it's just retarded. But with that being said, Tom, let me know what you think about this one right here.
Oh boy. Yeah, this one could really stir up the playoffs. So, if Duke wins, ACC does not have anybody get in actually. And if Virginia wins, they will be in, and they will probably be the 11 seed, right in front of the group of 5 or 6 or whatever they're called. Um, so yeah, very interesting because at the same time it's like Duke is probably looking around like, how did we even get here? So going to be very interesting. Virginia, they beat Duke actually 2 weeks ago. It would be 3 weeks ago now, but they beat Duke 34-17 before they played Virginia Tech and beat Virginia Tech. And then what Duke or Virginia lost to Virginia Tech at the beginning of no, that was last season. No, yeah, anyway, but yeah, no, Virginia basically just they need to win this game because if two group of 5 or 6 make it in, it's just going to be it's going to be bad. But maybe that's what needs to happen for the committee to change. I don't know. I think maybe after this year, even if Virginia wins, they're going to change the rules to just the top 12 get in, like 12 best teams. But yeah, again, like it's so messy. If Duke wins, it's going to be bad. If Virginia wins, I guess I'd rather see Virginia than like a James Madison or North Texas or what any other group of 5 or 6. Respectfully, I mean, I know those guys they're still D1 football players and they're still athletes, but I mean, it's just gonna be a bloodbath. So I hope Virginia wins, but I'll let Cezanne finish this one off. I don't. It's an ugly championship game, and a lot could happen. But yeah, Cezanne, take it away.
Tom, I am so glad that you mentioned exactly what I'm about to get into. You hit it right on the head. The playoff committee, or excuse me, the playoff people, whatever, whoever controls the playoff, they need to change. Oh my! Let me get into it. We're going into the ACC title game. We have Duke coming in at 7-5, showing up somehow. I don't know. If Duke wins this weekend, the ACC is in trouble. They are in so much trouble. Duke will be 8-5. They are not going to be ranked next week or at all. So if they are the conference champion, according to the language of the playoff structure, this is something that needs to change. The 5 highest ranked conference champions automatically get in. It doesn't say which conferences. We automatically assume it's going to be the Power 4 and then one group of 6. But if Duke wins the ACC, they're not going to be ranked at all. So, in that case, the last 2 automatic qualifiers, because we have the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, the last 2 automatic qualifiers has to go down between the group of six conferences. So now the American, Tulane versus North Texas. One of those teams is going to get in no matter what. No matter even if Duke loses, one of those teams getting in any scenario. One of those teams is getting in. But then we have to look to another conference champion. And that's either going to be James Madison if they win their conference, or UNLV out of the Mountain West if they win their conference. James Madison is in the Sun Belt. So it's either going to go between the Sun Belt or the Mountain West at that point. So we're going to have either a 11-2 UNLV who beats Boise State this weekend get in as the last seed, or we're going to have James Madison, who beats Troy this weekend, get in. What is going on with the playoff? We are only in the second year, and it's broken. It's broken. I'm not saying the playoff is not going to be awesome, because it is. At the end of the day, it's going to be awesome, and we're going to eventually have the best team win it all. But we're supposed to get the best 12 teams in the playoff. That is the whole goal of having a committee and having a 12-team playoff. Why in the world are we here talking about two teams, possibly two teams, that have absolutely no business being in the playoff? And this is nothing against James Madison, UNLV, North Texas, Tulane, Duke, Virginia. Nothing against any of those teams. They all did well this year. They all outperformed expectations. Shout out to them. You are not, and I will repeat, you are not one of the best 12 teams in America. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what your record says. I don't care if all these teams were undefeated. None of them would be the best 12 teams in college football this year. Why in the world are we at a point where if Duke wins, we're going to have two group of six teams in the playoff that are going to get absolutely murdered on national television for everyone to see, and we're basically just wasting two games. So in that case, we don't just have four buys, we have six buys, because there's two teams playing in the first round that they're going to have bye games.
Yeah, it's almost
Yeah,
and that'll probably be better because what that would be the 5 and 6 seed, and they would play the 11 and 12, right? And they would have they would have home field advantage, and two they would it like use it's basically like a warm up game, but that would almost be better than a bye because it's almost like it's like a live practice. You know what I mean?
right.
I think like that. Shit, you're probably helping out because I mean, who are we looking at? Like Oregon. It's like don't let Oregon get warmed up. Don't let Texas A&M get hot. Like that's almost a benefit for the 5 and 6 seeds because I mean, you look at it historically. A lot of times teams take that 1 week off and it's like their schedule just kind of gets just off a little bit or like I don't know what happens, but it's usually not good for a team to take a bye week. Like look at Ohio State last year. Ohio State they were number 5 and they won it all, or number 6. I can't remember.
They were
Either way. They were number what?
They were number 8. They hosted Tennessee
Oh, number
at
8.
8-9 game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Well. Okay. Yeah. There you go. They hosted Tennessee and they were 8-9. Like perfect example where it's like that wasn't necessarily a bye, but they got a home game. So now imagine a team like that with a home game against Tulane. It's like what are we talking about? Like it's like that's like a game that you play in the first 4 weeks of the season to warm up for your conference games. Like you're gonna like yeah anyway I'll let you finish but yeah no it's just yeah it's we I think this year will prove or maybe not prove. I think everybody already knows what's going to happen, but it'll give enough evidence of like okay we should include the group of 5, group of 6, whatever you want to call them, but there needs to be a standard. So I don't know.
Right. And everything you said is exactly correct, and it just adds to the fact that this needs to change because it is so lopsided right now because that makes no sense at all. Again, if Duke wins and we get two group of six teams in, like you said, we're basically just having like two warm up games that the SEC would schedule in the first couple weeks against Chattanooga and whoever else, Alcorn State. Like, why are we seeing this in the playoff? This is exactly what we were trying to avoid, expanding the playoff by having these meaningless games at the end of the season. But yet, we're going to see two group of six teams get absolutely embarrassed on national TV when we could have just had a Vandy or a Miami or a Texas playing, and then it was a real game, and then everyone wins. Like, why are we doing this? So I'll leave it at that because we're going to talk so much about the committee and how the structure needs. The ACC championship is what we're talking about here. I do think Virginia will take care of business. They already beat Duke earlier in the season. Duke is not very good. Duke is competitive. They've been competitive all year. They had a good run in their own conference, but they're just not very good at the end of the day. Virginia's the better team. I expect Virginia to take care of business and win. If Virginia wins, they're going to be the 11 seed automatically, and then the 12 seed will be either Tulane or North Texas. Fine, whatever. Still needs to change, but whatever. If Virginia loses, Duke is not getting in. So we're going to have James Madison or UNLV looking to see. Now, some people are saying, well, would they actually put Duke in over James Madison or UNLV? And I think that it is possible that the committee will have to look at the resumes. So it's like, well, Duke has beat what, like 6 or 7 Power Four teams. James Madison and UNLV, I doubt it. I doubt either of them have done that. So we might have to look at the resume, and then all of a sudden, okay, well, does that mean an 8-5 Duke is getting in the playoff? That's a whole nother problem. That's a problem in itself. So
Well,
it doesn't
well,
matter who shows up, 11 or 12. Virginia, Duke, Tulane, North Texas. It doesn't really matter. None of these teams have a chance, and we all understand that, which is why the playoff system needs to change. So the ACC title game, can't say I'm I'm really excited to see it. I mean, not really, and it's actually at the exact same time as the Big Ten championship game, so no one's going to be watching it. No one's going to be watching this game, so we'll just be looking to see who wins it. But let's all pray that Virginia wins, and we don't have to talk about two group of six teams. But here's my last thing, my last point, real quick before I flip it back over to you. I think Miami is actually rooting for Virginia to lose and Duke to win. Why? Well, I think Miami has to come back up in this conversation as well. If the ACC gets left out entirely, at least with the automatic qualifiers, if Duke wins and then they don't get in, I think I don't know. I think it's going to trigger some kind of like soft spot with the committee because they're going to be like, can we really leave the entire ACC out of the playoff? It's not even 4 teams like before, it's 12. And we're going to leave an entire Power Four conference out based on what happened. I think that goes into the conversation to help Miami then, because if Duke doesn't get in and they're like, there's no way we can leave the ACC out entirely. Well, all of a sudden, Miami's sitting right there at 12. And they're like, well, if we put Miami in, then the ACC is represented. Even though they're not a conference champion, at least the ACC will have a team in the playoff. So I think that
well,
that would help Miami's case just in that scenario. But go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, I just wanted to add on to that. Well, it's because it's like, okay, so you're gonna put a 10-2 Notre Dame in, but you're gonna leave out a 10-2 Miami who has a head-to-head win over Notre Dame. And again, it gets back to like it gets back to the hypocritical committee and the ticky-tacky BS that they keep doing, where it's like I don't understand their logic of, again, it's like, I mean, we could go through the rankings. Like it's just like beating a dead horse. So it's like, I don't need to. But Duke's resume sucks. That's what I really wanted to say. Duke got blown out by Illinois at home. They lost to Tulane. It was on the road. Let's see. They lost to Georgia Tech. They barely beat Clemson. They lost to UConn. They lost to UConn. They got beat by Virginia 34-17. They barely beat North Carolina, which I guess they got Bill Belichick, so good for them, but still barely beat North Carolina, who hasn't had a good season. And then they beat Wake Forest, and now they're in the ACC championship. It's like it's kind of crazy. Like they actually had probably the most cake schedule out of all the ACC, and they still almost messed it up. Like like they it's gosh, it's crazy how the ACC ended up the way it did because I don't understand where Duke did. Like, I guess Duke got in because they beat NC State and NC State beat Miami, but it's at the same time it's like, what are we talking about? I guess technically, but I don't know. I don't know.
Here's my thing.
It,
Other than the fact that the playoff structure needs to change, and it does need to change, I don't know if it's because people keep talking about expanding, and I'm not against expanding. I think it could possibly expand up to 24 teams, and it would still be good. No more than 24. But I know that's a debate right there. I know that's controversial. But
I think no matter how many teams you have in the playoff, somebody's going to be upset.
yes, but
But I think maybe the best thing that they could do would maybe have like change it. They said this on Bussin' with the Boys, so I'm not taking credit for this idea, but I do agree with them. They said that instead of having a conference championship, you do it like the NFL, where you go, okay, you were the regular season, you're the conference champion. Instead of the Big Ten SEC championship, you do a like an 8 team bracket play in where you have 8 teams. So basically, top 10 make it in, and then 11 through 18 have a 8 team bracket, and the final 2 teams make it in as the 11 and 12 seed.
I think I watched that same episode, Tom, because yes, they did talk about that on Busting with the Boys, and that's also been Joe Klatt's uh, proposal for what we should do with the playoff. He believes that we need to have a play-in weekend instead of having conference championships because conference championships, as we see, are becoming less and less meaningful year after year. So instead, we need to have a play-in weekend where we actually have teams in the conference playing each other for the right to make the playoff instead of just having a bunch of teams that don't play this weekend and then having conference championships that are becoming less and less meaningful. So yes, I'm glad you touched on that. My point with this whole thing is we need to change the language. The expansion that could happen, cool, we can do that, but the language needs to be changed. The whole highest ranked conference champions that needs to change because we don't have a good we don't have a quality 5 conferences anymore. At least not every year. This year, we only have 3 quality conferences, at least what it comes down to. Now, if Miami was in the conference championship, then we would have a quality team coming out of that conference, kind of, with Virginia. But we don't have that this year. We can't have 5 conference champions automatically get in if we don't have good conference champions. We're only going to have 3 quality conference champions this year. The group of 6 and the ACC do not deserve to get a team in the playoff this year, but the language dictates it. If the language didn't say that, if it just said top 12, like you said earlier, if it just said the top 12 teams get in, point blank, period, then we wouldn't have this problem. But because the language says what it says now, we have this issue. We have to include these 2 teams that don't deserve to be there, even even though they're not in the top 12. So like that's what needs to change this offseason. They need to change the language. I don't know if it just needs to be the top 12. I don't know if only the Big 10 and the SEC champion automatically get in. I know that's going to be a debate with the Big 12 and the ACC. I get it, but something needs to change because there's no reason why we should have 2 group of 6 teams in the playoff. That it needs to change. The other thing is the ACC in itself, just them. Now, tiebreakers, I don't like the tiebreakers for any of the conferences because I don't understand how Alabama in their conference title game. I don't get that. I don't understand how what's the I don't understand how Navy not in their conference. I saw something that said Navy tied for their conference title championship, but yet they're not
Who?
in the game.
You cut out.
Oh, I cut out right there.
Yeah, you cut out. Who are you talking about?
Navy. Navy tied for their conference title, but yet they're not playing in the game. I
Yeah.
that. So tiebreakers in general are just confusing to me, and I think there needs to be a universal kind of tiebreaker that applies to all the conferences so we can figure this out so we can really have the best two teams make it to the title game each and every year. Why is Bama in their title game? They don't have the best record. A&M and Ole Miss have better records than them. Why is Miami not in their title game? They have the best record in their conference, yet they're sitting at home watching Duke. What is going on? So specifically, the ACC needs to change their tiebreakers because whatever allowed Duke to be in this year needs to change because there's no reason why. We literally named like four teams in that in the ACC that are better than Duke: Pittsburgh, SMU, Georgia Tech, Louisville. You could even say Wake Forest, even though Wake Forest lost to Duke, but Wake Forest went 8-4 too, I believe. How in the hell is Duke in the conference title game? Why did the ACC put themselves in this situation in the first place? If Miami was playing Georgia Tech this weekend, this wouldn't be a problem. But instead, we have Virginia versus Duke. And now the ACC is on the brink of irrelevancy when it comes to college football because they're not even going to make the playoff. And that's going to do so many bad things for that conference. We already see teams, we already saw the Pac-12 disappear when everybody left that conference. What do you think is going to happen to the ACC if they don't even get a team in the playoff? You think Florida State and Clemson are going to keep staying around? You think Georgia Tech and Miami are going to keep staying around? I would leave. I would leave this offseason if I was Miami. I would just leave. Because how in the hell did we go 10-2, beat Notre Dame, and we're not even playing in our conference title game? I would leave tomorrow if I was Miami. I would put the money up. We're moving to the SEC. We're moving to the Big 12. I don't know. We're out of here.
I was gonna say probably Big 12, honestly, because I mean, it's like if you're Miami, that's just that's suicide going to the SEC. You got to go to the Big 12, fill in what Texas and Oklahoma could have done in the Big 12.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But do you see my point here? Like, why, if the ACC doesn't even get a team in this year, why would Miami stick around? Why would Clemson stick around? Miami's got left out 2 years in a row it would be if they didn't make it this year. Clemson only made it last year because they won the conference title game. If they hadn't won it, they would have been out, and the ACC would have only had SMU, who immediately got destroyed by Penn State. The ACC is teetering on the brink of not even being relevant in college football, and that like you said, that is suicide when it comes to this because that deals with all their money and all their TV deals and their recruits and just everything that surrounds that conference. That conference is on the brink of possibly having the same fate as the Pac-12, and I would hate to see it, but like we said, even before the season even started, we're starting to get towards the Power Two, the Big Ten, the SEC, and that's all there's going to be. And we're seeing it right now unfold in front of us because the ACC is in trouble of even existing in the next 10 years if this keeps up. Because if Duke wins, what are we even doing here? Like, what? Why would Miami continue to win 10 games every year but not make the playoff? Why would Georgia Tech go 9-3 and not even have a shot to even play for it? Why would what is the incentive of being in this conference if we don't even have a shot at the end of the day? Not because of what the playoff is doing, but because of what our own conference is doing with tiebreakers. That I'll leave it at that.
Well said.